What's up, fam? Coach Cam back again with another video. And as you watch this week's training workout, I want to discuss how to train both for muscle growth and cardio. So in this video, we're going to be discussing what does that look like. We're going to discuss how your weekly schedule of workouts should or could be scheduled, and then what factors are going to contribute the most to getting the results you want in doing this. So starting off, we're going to go ahead and state the obvious, which is that training your body hard is going to require energy and it's going to require recovery. Training with weights and running, we'll use that as our cardio example. It could be swimming, biking, whatever it is. The question here is really, can you train two different things that stress your body a good bit but seem so very different, right? Running and lifting seem very different, and they are. And how can you balance these? Well, first off, you're only going to have so much recovery. So you can't recover from unlimited amount of training stress. You're going to have to balance this training schedule to get the most out of both of these activities. So ideally, you would have a lifting routine that you could stick to while still having a schedule of, let's say, running that you can also stick to. You're probably going to want to lift 2 to 4 days a week and run around that same frequency 2 to 4 times a week, and maybe only 1 or 2 of those running days are intense and the other days are just easier runs. This will help you get more neuromuscularly efficient at running, even though it's at an easier pace. However, with the weights workouts, you want to keep those still very intense. I don't recommend training easy with weights. I think your muscles require an intense stress, which comes from training to failure. So I would continue to train to failure. You just need to have a volume and frequency that makes sense for you. So for me, I do a pull day, and then either the next day or the day after, I'll do a push day. It's not upper lower, but I do split my entire body into 2 workouts. And then I will take 2 or 3 days off, and then I will do that again. So it's somewhat flexible, but yet there's still kind of a timeline on it. And then as far as running, lately I've been training myself for a relay race that's coming up in 2 months, and I have to be able to run a 2.3 mile, a 4.9 mile, and an 8.4 mile legs in a relay race within the course of like 24 hours or so. And it's going to have some hills in it as well. So I'm personally training running between 1 to 3 times a week. I'm going to keep it kind of at least at that 2 to 3 times component and work with that. But the more often you're going to train, the less intense. I should say, the more often you're going to train, the more often you're going to have sessions that are of a lower intensity. So if you're going to train running all out every session and lifting all out every session, you're not going to be able to have that many sessions. Maybe 2 lifting sessions a week and 2 running ones, something like that. Assuming you have a daily, you have a job that you work, right? And that's that's another huge component that I want to discuss. You cannot compare yourself to other people who have different lives than you. For example, person A is a college student with very limited responsibilities. They have a lot of free time. They can work out every day, eat whatever meals they want, recover as much as they want. They have complete freedom. Whereas someone similar to my situation, you're married, you have 3 little boys, you have 2 jobs that are both active outdoor style jobs. It's going to be a lot harder for that person to juggle lifting and running and recovering and nutrition and sleep and all those different things. So, I guess for this person that we're talking about who wants to excel at building muscle and, say, running, you're better off having very little outside responsibilities. Obviously, these aren't always things you can control. I can't control that I have an entire family and 2 jobs that I have to support my family. Although I would certainly choose to have those jobs and do the work than just work out all the time and be a lazy bum and not provide for my family. So working more hours is a better investment in your future if you can do so. But if you don't have that ability, or you don't want to do that, or you're at a point in your life where that's not a thing for you, then take advantage of the time you have with less responsibility, train hard, recover hard, and program your training accordingly. So in the course of a week, you might do 2 or 3 lifting workouts, and then you might also have 3 or 4 running workouts where 2 of the days are easy, and then at least one of them is very hard, and one of them might just be like a moderate hard. And obviously it's going to depend on like what your goals are. Are you training for a 1-mile race, or a 5K, or a 10K, or a marathon, right? Obviously, if you're training for a marathon, that is a lot more running volume. And obviously with sports like running, you have a volume and intensity relationship. So the lower the intensity, the more volume you can tolerate, and the more volume you will probably have to do to get the same results as somebody who trains very intense but only has to do a low amount of volume. And with a higher training volume of, say, running or whatever the cardio component is, that will make it harder for you to build muscle, because it's taking away from that limited ability that you have to recover. It's also burning calories and energy that could have been used a little bit more for building muscle. Now, if you spread out these workouts, and if you make sure more of the easier type runs are closer to your hard lifting days, you should be good on your lifting days. Like, you should be able to train very hard in the gym and not be gassed and tortured yourself. And then maybe the harder runs you do a couple days out from your lifting, so it's not impeding that, right? So you want your lifting to not impede your running, and you want your running to not impede your lifting. However, if you're going to embark on this, you need to understand one thing, and that is that both will be impeded a little bit. They will be impeded, but it's important to know that that's okay, and you're still making progress toward your goal, right? You just might take longer to get there, right? It's going to take you longer to be an elite distance runner if you're very focused on lifting weights. And it's going to take you longer to build a boatload of muscle, if that's even within your genetic potential, if you're also focused on another activity that takes volume, it takes intensity, and it takes effort and recovery, such as running or swimming or whatever it is. So you are splitting your energy. I did this myself from about 19 years old till about 26 years old or so, 27. And even now I've kind of picked up some running again because of this relay race that I'm training for just recently. But I honestly have not run in 2 years at all. Maybe twice in 2 years for like random reasons. But so I'm excited for it. Obviously, if you're going to do running, if you can weigh less, like if you can get your body weight lower, that will likely help you compared to just carrying excess fat or being heavier, especially if you're talking like running on hills and things like that. It's going to be more helpful for you. And then when it comes to building muscle, you need to train very, very hard. I'm not going to tell you to dirty bulk. I'm not going to tell you to bulk up and get fat. Honestly, you might even look like you built muscle if you cut weight, right? So I've cut about 8 pounds in the last 8 weeks, and it looks like I've built like at least 5 more pounds of muscle when I literally didn't. I just cut fat. So don't be afraid to cut. Don't be afraid to get a little leaner, and that should actually help you in the running. And then your lifting is not going to suffer much, right? You have to make sure you carb up before your workouts. So a couple hours before, if at all possible, or the night before, if you're working out early morning, go ahead and carb up. You literally have to if you want optimal gym performance. If you do not do this and your nutrition sucks and you go into your lifting workout while currently feeling like you're in a calorie deficit, feeling flat, feeling skinny and weak, then that's how you're going to perform in the lift, feeling flat, skinny, and weak. So it will be harder to make progress in the gym if you are feeling like trash. So make sure you carb up. Make sure you continue to eat high protein. I weigh about 164, 163, somewhere in there, and I'm eating protein-wise, at least like 120 grams a day, something like that. So you want, 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight as a minimum. But you can go over that if you want, but I would not compromise on eating some carbohydrates to have energy for your workouts. That's how a lot of these post-workout flexes in my videos, how they look pretty good, is because 1, I have a pump, and 2, I'm carbed up before I worked out. If I didn't carb up, I'd feel flat, I'd look flatter, it wouldn't be the same. So, anywho, if you want to train running and lifting, it's a tough task. I did it for about 5 or 6 years, except during that time for myself, it wasn't truly lifting. I was doing body weight exercise. I was obsessed with doing workouts with gymnastics rings, doing workouts with pull-ups, push-ups, dips, chin-ups, muscle-ups. And so I didn't build much muscle during this time because I wasn't even focused on it at all. Although I wanted to build muscle, I was really focused on just lifting really heavy weights in those exercises. And it was a little bit of a minimalist approach. I wasn't isolating my arms enough. So make sure you do that, right? Make sure you train your entire body, head to toe, progressive overload. That is exercise. That is going to get you cardiovascular benefits. That is going to get you muscle size and strength. The only caveat with that is, with you having cardiovascular benefits from lifting weights, you can't expect it to directly one-for-one transfer to other sports or activities that people deem as cardio, right? People deem cardio as running, swimming, biking. Well, you'll be a little bit better at those than if you never weightlifted, but you're not going to beat somebody who's currently training running or training cycling or swimming, because those are sports. Those take skill and proficiency at that movement, and your body adapts to doing that. And that's most of the reason that people who are really fast at running are fast at running, because they're training fast speeds at running, and they're training for distance and all that. So if you're not getting those results and you want to, you can do that. If you are not training for an event or cardio or whatever it is, that's fine too. You literally do not have to. If you train your muscles very, very vigorously in the gym, I'm telling you right now, you are cardiovascularly fit. Now, you might have excess body fat, and largely I would say that if you lose body fat, you will feel fitter. I can promise you that. That happened to me. I used to weigh 190, then I cut down to 160, and then I was like, wow, I can go for runs and run 2 miles at 7-minute pace. And I was like, I couldn't even do that when I weighed 190. So a lot of people who are overweight and obese think, oh, I need to do cardio because I'm so out of breath all the time. Well, maybe you're out of breath all the time because you're stressing your body every day by carrying way too much body weight. That's going to make every activity harder. So just by you losing 20, 30, 50, 100 pounds, you will be insanely fitter, whether you did cardio or not. Even if you never stepped foot in a gym and you just cut your calories, I promise you right now, when you lost that weight, it'll feel like you became a distance runner. Like that's how much better your cardio will be without even training it. So, but I'm, in this video, mostly talking to people who want to train it because they have an event to train for. And that's the only reason I'm running right now, is because I have an event to train for. I'm a firefighter, and in these clips on this half of the push day workout, I'm in the firehouse gym that we have. And, my point that I wanted to bring up with that is that running is not firefighting. It's not firefighting. And, if you like to run, sure, go do it. If you've grown up running, if it's cool, if you're good at it, go do it. And that's partly why I do it still, because I'm decent at it and it's kind of fun, and at least I have an event to train for. I wouldn't do that if I did not have an event to train for, because firefighting and running are not the same thing. I mean, if you're a 13-minute 5K runner, that has no bearing on if you're going to be a good firefighter, because mostly because of all the skills of firefighting, all the situations and scenarios that you're going to be put in just have no transfer from running whatsoever. And that's the same thing with all different cardio, you would say, quote, cardio, like sports and activities. Running doesn't transfer to swimming at all. Ask any swimmer and runner this conversation. Say, hey, are you a good swimmer? And they'll be like, no, I'm a runner. And they're like, yeah, but you do cardio. You should be good at swimming. No, I'm terrible at swimming. Exactly, because you have to train swimming. It's completely different than running. So, my overall point in this video is just letting you know that if you want to train running and muscle building, you can do both. You're just going to have a harder time building muscle, but maybe you should just reset your standards and understand that, hey, you probably are fairly jacked. Just need to get lean, keep training hard. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.